Thank you very much, and welcome back. Hope you had a good lunch. Hope some of you got to get up and walk around a little bit. You don't have to sit here for 4 or 5 hours. It must be a little difficult, but thank you for being here. We appreciate it. My name is Aslam Khader. I'm the Chief Product Officer of AWS Elemental. I was with Elemental, and 2 years ago, Amazon AWS acquired us. And as the acquisition process took place, we spent some time talking to our customers globally to understand what they wanted to do and how the products and services we were offering them were helping them be agile in their business goals or hindering them in being agile. And we got a lot of feedback from our customers. And the primary feedback that we got was, please do the undifferentiated heavy lifting so we can focus on service innovation. So the key words that came through to us loud and clear was, you do the hard work from an infrastructure and a services perspective. Let us focus on innovating our service, whether that's producing content or it's distributing content or creating user experiences for end consumers like all of us. And this was largely prompted by some of the changes that are happening, as you see, in the industry. The industry is in a state of disruption. Ben previously spoke about some of the major factors that were driving some of these changes. It's a wide open field. And by and large, what we see is a huge influence of IP, Internet Protocol technology, and a huge influence of distribution, where distribution is happening across all of these different mediums to consumers. And clearly, if you look at the green line, it becomes evident that OTT, over-the-top distribution, is essentially here to stay, gaining ground on all other forms of distribution, and providing you the opportunity to really innovate in the services that you deliver to your customer. The other thing that became loud and clear was that it's not just about media and entertainment. I know today we talk about AWS Media Day, but media and media workflows are essentially converging across all of these different industries. Whether you're talking about media and entertainment, which we are all familiar with, talking about enterprises, talking about healthcare, financial services, government, local, state, federal, surveillance and security, and education. Every single industry is seeing more and more media as a part of how they are delivering their services to us as customers. And the requirements for all of these different industries and all of these different opportunities is essentially converging to the kinds of requirements that professional video has always had for very long. So it's important to recognize that everything that we are doing in AWS is to create these services that can address the wider opportunity of media in every single industry. However, even as media is expanding, one of the key challenges that we are all seeing is it's still extremely difficult, both in terms of time and resources, in order to deploy these workflows. So whether it's capture, ingest, process and store, delivery and display, if you look at this simplified workflow, the process of putting together solutions that enable this workflow so that your customers can ultimately enjoy their entertainment or their media on a mobile device, on a tablet, on a connected or smart TV, or on the desktop, or on your main screen, is still very difficult. And many times it takes months, or sometimes even years to deploy, because people were making and still are making technology decisions that are supposed to last for 3, 5, and 10 years. Well, that's changed. That's changed a lot. You can no longer, our customers, we no longer have the luxury of making technology decisions that will last for 3, 5, or 10 years. Technology changes every year, every 18 months. And we have to be able to conform to that technology. So this model that customers have used in the past, that you have used in the past, many of us have used, is not working anymore. Business is moving too fast, technology is accelerating the pace of change, and we have to be able to use that technology to gain business advantage. So at the end of November last year at reInvent, after 2 years of working on this, we introduced a new category of services within the AWS console called Media Services. So just like you have today, compute, storage, database, migration, IoT, and other services, there's a new category called Media Services. And the whole premise of Media Services is a set of building blocks for media workflows specifically that give you the power to assemble those blocks to create any kind of workflow that you need to create to deliver your services.
Technology shifts that once took decades now unfold in months. The cloud is revolutionizing the way we work, the way we learn, the way we entertain. This revolution is transforming the video industry, with migration to the cloud increasing exponentially. From video servers to media services, from finite infrastructure to infinite capacity. From channel lineups to streaming anytime, everywhere. AWS Media Services combine the vast capabilities of the Amazon Web Services Cloud with the deep video expertise of AWS Elemental. Wherever you are on your journey to the cloud, we help you deliver your premium content to every device with cloud-based pay-as-you-go services that form the core of agile, scalable, future-ready video workflows. Whether you're launching a TV channel, delivering on-demand programming, or broadcasting live events on a global scale, with flexible infrastructure and simplified video operations, you can focus on what really matters. Captivating your viewers, extending your reach, and monetizing your content. AWS Elemental, perfecting the media experience.
So essentially, if you look at what this video said, we basically said, hey, you have to move at the pace of change that's happening in the industry. So to help you with that, we essentially launched 5 new services. At the bottom, you see, the first one is called AWS Elemental Media Convert. It's a file-to-file transcoding service. You give any file, any mezzanine format, any kind of broadcast capability format in, we transcode it to whatever formats you want, S3 in, S3 out. So it becomes really, really seamless, and it's based completely, pricing is based completely on the output minutes that you produce. AWS Media Live is essentially a live service. So at a push of a button, within a couple of minutes, you can start up a new 24/7 channel or a live event. And that can scale indefinitely based on whatever it is that you need to do. AWS Media Package can take content and package it in different formats so that it can be delivered to the variety of different devices that our consumers use. Different mobile phones, different operating systems, different platforms, different smart TVs, they all need different packaging formats, and Media Package does that. Media Store gives the ability to essentially have a media-optimized storage solution that sits on top of S3 and is giving you the durability largely of what S3 provides you, but the high performance needed for media workflows. And finally, Media Tailor, which is a service that allows you to monetize your content. It's a server-side ad insertion and content personalization service. So if you take these 5 services and lay them out in a simple end-to-end media workflow, you can essentially address a whole variety of different use cases and deploy these services in a matter of minutes. So where you had months and years to make technology decisions, to test, to purchase, to rack and stack, to connect up and operate, you can now do all of that in a matter of minutes. You only pay for what you use. You don't have to manage infrastructure. It auto-scales. All of these services are self-healing. They are redundantly implemented so that they work across availability zones, and they're all based on content. The pricing model is based on content. So the value that you derive is exactly what you pay for. And if you change your mind that one service doesn't work for you, another service works for you, you can easily switch whenever you want. So we have a whole variety of services outside of media services from third parties as well that augment building these workflows. In addition, because these are console services, these are native AWS console services, they all run in the same AWS paradigm and utilize all of the AWS capabilities that allow you to leverage the 100+ other services that AWS has available, such as Direct Connect for ingest purposes, CloudFormation for deploying complex templates, AWS Lambda to do serverless compute, Amazon CloudWatch in order for you to do events, and based on CloudWatch events, take action, and then Route 53 and CloudFront for delivery purposes. And here's the other thing. As new services get deployed by AWS, such as the slew of machine learning services like Lex and Poly and Transcribe and Translate and Recognition and Video Recognition and Comprehend, as all of these services start becoming available, it is extremely easy and simple for you to stitch together these services to create any kind of workflow that you desire to do, to automate, to make things more efficient, to speed up time to market. These are all critical requirements in this highly competitive, highly disruptive time. So the question you may ask is, okay, so what about the availability of all these services in the Korea region? Well, I'm happy to announce that 3 of the services, Media Convert, Media Package, and Media Store, will be available very soon in the Korea region, and the other 2 services will follow shortly thereafter. So very soon, you should be able to use all of these services and build your workflows in the Korea region. As you look at how these services are to be deployed, most of our customers work in two distinct workflows. There's a live workflow at the top and an on-demand workflow at the bottom. And in the middle are elements that are commonly applicable across both live and on-demand. And by the way, you also know that most of these workflows are merging so that people want to deploy live, live to VOD, and VOD to live workflows. And all of that is possible with the combination of these various services. So first, I'm going to talk a little bit about the on-demand workflows and what services are available in order to help you do that. So on-demand is largely enabled through Media Convert, which as a service is a serverless solution, which means you don't have to worry about how many instances, what size of instances, how much capacity. You have to just say, this is my input file or files. This is the outputs I want to produce. Go do it for me. Okay? So most file-to-file use cases are supported. It addresses all video markets, which is important. It's not just about professional media and entertainment video, which obviously we do, but we also address all the other requirements of enterprise, financial services, healthcare, any other media workflow. It also supports, in many cases, what people want, which is pay-as-you-use library conversion. So many of you have services where, as a distributor, you may suddenly sign up a new content provider, a new CP. And that content provider gives you 5,000 assets or 5,000 hours of content for your VOD library. You now need to transcode this so that it fits within your distribution patterns and your various devices and package them for the various devices. Well, Media Convert can help you do that because it will scale infinitely and give you the ability to run as many jobs in parallel if you require. Initially, there's a limit of 40 concurrent jobs, but you can ask for service limit increases in AWS. Like every other service, we can increase those limits, and you can run your job so that you can meet your SLA, your service level agreement, whether that's a one-day turnaround or a 1 week or a 1 month turnaround, you can meet those requirements. Some of the challenges that we are trying to address with this is because, as you know, the cloud is most suited for spiky workloads, which means workloads that are not consistent and standard but are spiking. And the VOD workflows, the file-to-file workflows, tend to be very spiky. So when you look at it and say, how do I do this today on the ground, today you end up essentially first designing for peak. You say, how much do I expect at any point in time I need to transcode? Once you make your decision on that, you then set up and manage the physical infrastructure, which requires large investments up front. Right? And once you make that investment, guess what? You want to amortize and use that investment over 3, 5, 10 years. Again, like I said, that doesn't work because technology is changing too fast. You cannot afford to get yourself tied to a technology selection for any significant length of time. Well, then you look at the other cloud solutions available and you say, what are these solutions and how can I use these solutions, possibly, other than Media Convert? Well, there are many limitations with those solutions today. Okay. They're not suited for broadcast-grade video capability. So look at the kinds of things that broadcast grade requires. Things, for example, like support for codecs like HEVC, lots of different mezzanine formats, multiple audio tracks, closed captioning and subtitling in multiple languages, audio descriptors, SCSI 35 and ad processing. All of these kinds of capabilities are required in order for you to have broadcast quality video and to monetize that video. Okay? Most of them offer very limited scalability and spotty support. Pricing tends to be complicated. And at AWS, you know, our focus is to give you very simple pricing. It's openly available. You go to Media Convert, in this case, web page, product page, and you'll see the pricing, and it's exactly laid out as to what you would have. And it tends not to be easy to build these workflows because they're not native AWS services. You cannot easily leverage your security paradigm in IAM, your CloudWatch events, you know, your specific other AWS services that are available. So that's why we introduced Media Convert. It's a file-based video processing service that allows anyone with any size content library to easily and reliably transcode on-demand content for broadcast and multi-screen. So a single service that can target all of the devices, all of the different workflows for file-to-file transcoding. So first thing is access to professional-grade video features and quality. So we are constantly improving VQ. VQ stands for video quality, which means that every time we update our service, and we update it regularly, every month, every 2 months, we increase the video, we improve the video quality that's associated with it. So for the same number of bits, the same file size, you can have better video quality because we are fine-tuning and improving our algorithms. Okay? We also continue to add new features and new capabilities in addition to, obviously, video quality. I said no setup or management underlying infrastructure because it is serverless. We manage all of the capacity, and we give you the ability to simply deal with content. Automatically scales. Again, you can have unlimited scalability by and large. And finally, the ability to manage capacity, because we give you a lot of parallel processing capabilities, you can decide how to use these capabilities to set up your specific workload environment. Let me talk about some of the key concepts of Media Convert. You'll understand why this is important. So every job essentially consists of one or more input files, some input configurations as to bitrate, codec, etc., and a bunch of outputs. So you define your outputs. You say, I want, for example, a ABR, adaptive bitrate bouquet, of 7 different bitrates, 7 different resolutions, 7 different video qualities. So you define those out here. There may be some metadata associated with things like closed captioning or SCSI processing and some other job configuration. This defines your job. Well, to make it easy, we provide you with presets. So we give you some presets. You can have your own presets where a preset maps to an output. So you can say, I want, for example, a 1080p output with 6 megabits per second with this configuration. And the configuration has all the different parameters, the richness of the parameters that allow you to control exactly what your video output is. So you apply the presets to each output. In addition, you can add input configuration, metadata, and other job config, and create a job template. You can now apply that job template to a job, add your input media assets, and submit that into a queue. So it becomes really straightforward for you to scale. Whether you have 1 asset or 100,000 assets, you can apply templates that you've created for your specific kinds of content do your specific jobs. Once it goes into the queue, it processes, and as it's processing, it sets CloudWatch events and metrics. So it's sending events to CloudWatch to say, successfully moved from queue to processing, successfully processing, processing complete. You can use those CloudWatch events to do any downstream processing of any kind. You can send notifications to yourself. You can run Lambda scripts if you require to make decisions about where to put this content. So the richness of the workflow that you can build is only limited by how you want to string together these services. But the service itself wraps a very high-powered, highly scalable, professional quality file-to-file transcoding service in a serverless way for you to utilize. I know Ben showed this slide, so I'm not going to belabor it, but just so you know, by using these different services, you can pull together any kind of workflow you want, especially using things like Watch Folder. We actually have created a number of scripts and configuration templates and CloudFormation templates that we publish out to our customers, available to you, so you can leverage those. We have scripts published in GitHub, where you have Watch Folder kind of implementations, as well as automatic configuration of CloudFront distributions. Okay. Okay, so that was basically the on-demand support for on-demand or file-to-file processing. I'll now switch to talking to you about live processing. And in live processing, there are three services we're going to talk about: Media Live, Media Package, and Media Store. All of these services are, again, broadcast quality. They can support unlimited scalability of dynamic events. So as an example, you have the Winter Olympics that will begin in 2 or 3 weeks here in South Korea. There are many broadcasters and many organizations that want to, who've been transmitting one channel, suddenly realize, hey, if I can transmit 15 channels because there are 15 simultaneous events going on, or 12 channels because there are 12 camera angles to a specific event, so that you can choose what it is as a consumer you want to watch, that would be great. But to do it with traditional, conventional infrastructure, it's too expensive, it takes too much time, and there is no payback. But you can use the cloud, you can use these services to fire up these live events. They can run for 4 hours, they can run for 12 days. You only pay for the 4 hours or the 12 days that you're using it, and then they're shut down, they go away. So it becomes easy to do. You can do it right away, and it's inexpensive. There's no huge upfront investment required. Okay? And it supports all of the broadcast capabilities. For example, support for Ultra HD, support for HDR, high dynamic range, support for the capabilities that require to converge a head end, which means you have a single video processing capability that can feed your main screen, your desktop, your mobile device, your tablet, and your smart TV. All of those can be fed from a single video processing solution. Many customers are implementing disaster recovery, pay-as-you-go disaster recovery. Normally, what you go for disaster recovery is that you would implement a solution, you would implement the exact same solution, spend another, if you spend $1 million on this, you spend another $1 million on that. And you only use one. And when there is a disaster, you use the other one. Well, if you do it in the cloud, then your disaster recovery is essentially free and only paid when you actually use it. So there are many customers who are looking at the cloud to say, I can use it as a disaster recovery initially and then transition it completely to the cloud. And I mentioned how more and more of the services are going not just live, separate, and VOD separate, but also live to VOD services. Where, for example, as a consumer, when you start watching a live event, if the event, the football game has started 5 minutes before, you want to watch it as if it's live starting now, you can do that. That's actually a live to VOD case study. It's called Start Over TV. There's Catch Up TV, Cloud DVR. These are all facilities of live to VOD workflows. So the three services, Media Live. So Media Live essentially is, again, its fundamental engine is the Elemental Live engine, which supports all these broadcast-grade capabilities. I mentioned many of them. Different codecs, audio processing, audio normalization, multiple audio tracks, multiple language subtitling, different kinds of subtitling, SCSI 35 processing, a whole variety of different broadcast requirements. Because it's a serverless solution, it's extremely streamlined setup and operation. All you have to do is you go into the console, you say, I want to define an input, I want to define a channel, I want to connect the input to the channel, and I want to start the channel. 4 steps, and you're good to go. You have your live channel working. Its pricing, it's really simple. It's channel or event-based pricing. So if you're doing a 24/7 channel, you pay a monthly fee per channel, SD, HD, UHD, etc. And if it's a live event, you pay by the minute. Minimum 10 minutes. Beyond that, every minute we can bill you. Okay. Media package basically allows you to take the output from Media Live and prepare it so it can be distributed to all the different devices. And that preparation involves 2 major things. Just-in-time packaging. So you package it to formats like HLS, Dash, Microsoft Smooth Streaming, 3 different package formats. And it involves just-in-time DRM. So you support different DRMs like Widevine, Fairplay, and PlayReady, the 3 main DRMs. And the 50 or 60 different key providers who support these DRMs, like Irdeto, Verimatrix, Nagra, ByDRM, EasyDRM, Conax, CAS Labs. There are about 50 of these different key providers. Okay, so all of that is done by Media Package so that you can have protected content that can be served to all the devices and that can be monetized by you. Media Package also gives you live to VOD capabilities. So Media Package enables you to implement start over, catch up, time delay, cloud DVR. All of these is implemented with Media Package. It's implemented as a multi-AZ solution, which means that the Media Package runs in multiple AZs. It's fronted by an ELB, Elastic Load Balancer, and it essentially gives you don't have to worry about elasticity or about redundancy. We take care of that. And pricing is very simple. It's based on there's a price for video ingested, and there's a price for video packaged and originated. Okay, Media Store, third service. Essentially, what Media Store does, it gives you a very high performance layer for media, that's optimized for media workflows. Once you write to Media Store, it writes to this high performance layer, and it's served out of that high performance layer. We also then write it through to S3 so that you can get the durability of S3 if you so require it. It integrates with any CDN and with any system that's publishing content on the left-hand side. The integration is really simple. It's based on S3 primitives like put and get. And it's priced on the number of gigabytes that are ingested. So we don't charge you for output. We only charge you for ingesting. So you ingest as many gigabytes, you can output as many times more. Okay? So these 3 services can now be put together in a variety of different workflows. One such workflow, simple workflow here I've said, is a workflow with encoding on the ground. So this is a hybrid workflow, where if you have your camera that's connected via SDI to an Elemental Live appliance, the Elemental Live appliance will encode it into a compressed IP stream. It will then deliver that to Media Store, and Media Store can then originate it to any CDN for delivery to a device. So this workflow, for example, works when you say, let's say you want to do HLS output and you don't want to put DRM or protect it. Then you can simply encode your video and serve it on Media Store. It's a very simple workflow, but you can put it together. Now, this is a hybrid one. You could also have you could have content coming into Media Live that then writes it to all the different bit rates, and then sends that to Media Store. You could have it from Media Live, go to Media Package to Media Store. There are many different configurations you can put together based on your requirements. There's just one more workflow I'll talk about briefly, which is a typical pay TV workflow, where a pay TV provider or service provider is getting hundreds of channels. They essentially take those channels, they then go ahead and transcode them using, say, Elemental Live, send it to Media Live. Media Live does all of the different bit rates, sends it to Media Package, which does just-in-time packaging, just-in-time DRM, delivers it over a CDN to a display device. Okay? And you can scale this for any number of channels. Okay, so I'll switch now to the third section, which really is focused on media personalization. So I've spoken about Media Convert, Media Live, Media Package, and Media Store. The fifth service is Media Tailor, which is a server-side ad insertion and content personalization service. Allows you to personalize your viewing experiences. Because it's a server-side ad insertion solution, it counters the ad blockers that people are implementing, so it leads to better monetization because the ad blockers cannot block the ads anymore. It has a much improved ad experience because it's also transcoding the ad to the format, resolution, and bit rates of the content. And it leads to overall greater monetization. Mark Cousins, at the end of the day today, will go into a lot more detail about this. So I'm not going to spend much time here. I just want to say that it's important to understand the evolution of OTT advertising. We started off with burnt-in static ads. So everybody saw the same ad, and there was no reporting. We went to client-side ad insertion, where people now were getting their own personalized ads, and there was reporting, but then ad blockers could block the ads, and you would not get monetized. So we then went to server-side ad insertion, which is essentially where we are today, state-of-the-art. And the value of how Media Tailor implements this is a highly scalable, there are three components to it, a highly scalable manifest manipulation service, a on-the-fly transcoding service that gives you a seamless TV-like experience, and a augmented reporting service that allows you to do both client-side and server-side reporting. A typical implementation, so I mentioned this, I'm going to go through this quickly, better monetize, more consistent video quality. We manage the transcoding for a better experience. It's completely standards-based, so it fits into the existing digital advertising industry. There's no changes required. We use VAST and VMAP and VPaid are all protocols that are provided by the Interactive Advertising Bureau that are used globally for digital media advertising. We use those standards. And finally, because it's origin agnostic and CDN agnostic, you can combine it with any origin and any CDN. Of course, it works much better with Media Package and CloudFront, but you can combine it with others. A typical workflow with Media Tailor looks like this, where you basically have your devices here that are requesting the content. Once a device requests the content, the request goes to Media Tailor. Media Tailor will fetch the master manifest from the origin server. It'll then look and see, is this a content segment that's requested, or is this an ad opportunity? If it's a content segment and you're not doing content personalization, it'll serve up the manifest so that the device can then get the content over whatever path the content is flowing. If it's an ad opportunity, it takes the information that's coming with the request, packages it up into a VAST call, sends it to an ad decision server. The ad decision server responds and says, this is the ad that needs to get played. It pulls down the ad. It does on-the-fly transcoding of the ad, stitches it into the manifest, and delivers the personalized manifest to the... All of this happens in a matter of milliseconds, so that every single viewer is getting a personalized manifest with the appropriate content stitched in. Okay? All right, so I'm going to end up and then go into some demos. I have two demos, and I'm going to take probably an extra few minutes, but I have two demos I want to go through. But before I do that, I just want to say, there's a general trend, and I know Ben spoke about this. We're seeing a lot of interest from everybody in all parts of the ecosystem to migrate to the cloud for media workflows, in addition to everything else. The reason for this is simple. First of all, you only pay for what you use or process. How good is that? You don't have to make your millions of dollars of investment without knowing whether your project is going to succeed or fail, how big or small is your audience adoption. You don't know any of that, so you don't want to invest, you just pay as you go. We essentially, with our economies of scale, are able to provide you with the services at prices that you cannot match, okay? And it will help meet your particular storage and compute needs. This is a key one, handle unpredictable and bursty media needs. We know that media workflows tend to be bursty and unpredictable, whether that's how much content you need to transcode or how many viewers are going to be watching it. Or both sides are unpredictable. And then how much globally will it scale? So for all of that, the cloud has no competition. This is key, shorten time to market and test out new approaches. How many of us know what is the right thing to do the first time? Most of us don't. We try something, it either succeeds or fails. If it succeeds, we keep improving it. If it fails, we can either give it up or we can take a different approach. So there's a lot of that goes on in every industry, in every opportunity. What the cloud allows you to do is really do that really quickly and honestly give you the ability to either fail fast, which means if you're not going to be successful with this initiative, you need to fail fast so that you don't waste time and money, which is both very important. Or if you're successful, it gives you the ability to scale fast. So you can go global, and you can go in terms of vertical scalability in terms of your number of users, number of content, etc. Global availability, I just mentioned that, with no commit. Critically important, because we all know content is global, consumption is global. Okay, South Korean soap operas are viewed in the US. They are viewed in South America. They are viewed in India. They are viewed in Japan. They are viewed all over the world. Content is global because we are global. And therefore, you need to make sure that you have deployed an infrastructure that can support you if you're successful globally. And finally, it gives you the ability, as I mentioned, to focus on service innovation. That's what you do well, service innovation. Not racking and stacking servers, not going ahead and figuring out what technology to use, not trying to figure out how do I deploy this in, name your country, Bolivia. None of that. You need to focus on what makes you unique and let us do the undifferentiated heavy lifting. Okay, I'm going to switch to a couple of demos just to illustrate and demonstrate how easy it is to use this. Just give me a second while I bring this up. Oh, wrong one. Window. This one. Okay, I'm going to show you two demos, if I have the time. The first one, I'm going to refresh it so you can see it. The first one is a demo that brings together recognition, video recognition, and media convert. Okay, what this demo does is that takes assets that you have coming into your S3 bucket, runs those assets through recognition. We take the output coming from recognition. We've created what's called a word cloud. I'm sure many of you are familiar with a word cloud. It means that all of the metadata is represented here, and the size of the word indicates how many times this has been found in the content. Okay. We then give you the ability simply to say, okay, if I'm interested in, this is a simple one, label drink as an example, it's found drink, or it's found, these are all drinks. It's found food as an example here, Boulder Eats. What you can do is you can, well, I've chosen drink. Actually, let me choose person. If I choose person, it loads up all the different content where it finds person. I can then say, okay, I want to clip this and create a WOD asset and send it out. So what I do is I simply do a send to media convert, and media convert will go ahead, create the clip, And once it's created the clip, it's now available to you. So it's done. Sorry, it's progressing. So this is a simple way in which you can take recognition and media convert and start automating clip production. So I'll give you an example. Today, recognition does object recognition, and it does celebrity recognition. It does two kinds of recognition. It can also do a certain number of actions. So just imagine if you, and I'm going to give an American example, basketball, right? And you have LeBron dunking a ball. You can use this to say, look for LeBron, which is a celebrity that it can recognize in that content. Look for an action, dunking a ball, dunking a basket, and make a clip of everywhere in this game where LeBron is dunking, and produce that. Well, you can automate that by using things like this. I'm just giving you a simple example, but that's the power of kind of using these services together. So yes, see, this one has created it. You can see it on your phone if you want.
I'm going to try to soften it and also take away some of the harsh flavors of raw garlic and raw onion.
Right, okay.
And
so that's the clip. It's a short clip. It's just a simple example because it's automated. But it said, where is the person? Make a clip out of that. And now we created a clip. We posted it onto S3. If you do that QR code on your phone, you should be able to watch it on your phone. So that's simple. It's that simple to do it. Okay, let me give you a second example. This one is, this example is using recognition again, but frame-based recognition, not video recognition, to analyze the content that is playing out. Based on the content that's playing out, is to insert advertisements that's pertinent to the content that's playing out. Okay? So you see here live labels. So all the content that's playing out, it's providing you what are the labels of that content. What is it seeing? Okay? On the left-hand side, it says matched labels. So we've simply created an environment where we said these are the 10, 15 different labels that we are interested in. So if there is a label here that matches that label, play that ad. And that's what you'll see. Over time, you'll see that simple. These two things will show different things because this is showing the main content coming out of media package. So this is going to media live to media package is playing it out. It's also going to media tailor. And then media tailor is making a decision based on the kind of content to insert an appropriate ad or not. So this is content-based ad insertion. Okay? It doesn't have to be just content-based. The other thing that media tailor can do is it can take, so it's showing you what it is seeing now. Vehicle, transportation, sedan, SUV, road, automobile, coupe. All kinds of keywords are being matched with the content that's on the screen. But media tailor can also take that information, put it together with the subscriber information, with any other kind of information, and send it off to an ad decision server through a vast call, so that the ad decision server can make a decision based not just on the viewer, but on also what the viewer is watching. See, in this you see two separate ads. This was the built-in, burnt-in ad. That's showing a Formula 5 racing ad because it's identified, car and road and all of that. It says, oh, this person's interested in cars and racing, so I'm going to show a Formula 5 ad. It's all automated. We're not touching anything. It's a live stream. It's just constantly playing out, and it can be done. So that's the power. Honestly, I want to end on this note. That is the power of services, of AWS Cloud, of innovation that's happening in AWS, of the integration of these services, so that you can realize what you want to do by pulling these together in ways that's really simple. This took somebody a week to put together. It's a pretty complicated workflow, but it took somebody a week. One person in my team took a week to build this application. Okay? So thank you very much.